Okay, whenever you're dividing, the first number they give you goes on the inside. So I'm going to call that 1.85. The second number goes on the outside, 0.5. However, you don't want to have a decimal number on the outside. So you literally move that decimal to the end and just call it 5. But notice how I had to move that decimal one number over to the right. So you've got to move the number 1 over to the right. The net decimal one number to the right on the inside. So I'm going to call this 18.5 here. Now you bring the decimal straight up and you start dividing. So 5 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 18. 5 goes into 18 3 times. Multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. 18 take away 15 is 3. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 35 7 times. Multiply. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract. 35 take away 35 is 0. And when you get to 0, you are finished. The next one, first number inside, 0.102. Second number outside, 0.06. But you want that to be a non-decimal number on the outside, so move the decimal point to the end and just call it a 6. So I had to move my decimal point 2 numbers to the right. So you've got to, on this one inside, move it 2 numbers to the right. So it's actually going to go between the 0 and the 2 now. So I'm going to call that 10.2. Any zeros in the front at this point, you don't need. Okay, bring up your decimal. 6 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down the 2. 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract. 42 take away 42 is 0. And when you get 0, you are finished. So 1.7 is the answer on that one. This next one, the first number goes on the inside. The second number goes on the outside. But we want the number on the outside to be a non-decimal number, so move the decimal point to the end and make it a 9. So what we did was we moved the decimal point 1 over to the right, but we don't have any decimal points in our answer. So, the decimal point's at the end here, and if you go to the right one, so that it's now right here, there's a hole here. So you literally want to put a 0. Okay, so your decimal's still at the end, so you're probably not going to have a decimal number in your answer. However, you do have an extra 0 now. So now I'm going to divide. 9 goes into 23 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. Subtract. 23 take away 18 is 5. Bring down the 4. 9 goes into 54 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. Subtract. You get 0. Now, all the other problems I said, when you get to 0, you're finished. However, we have a number here to still bring down. We haven't brought everything down. So even though it's 0, we still had to bring it down. So you have to put a 0 up here. Okay? So now my final answer is 260. So let me repeat that again. When you're doing your calculations, if you get to a 0, if you get to a difference of 0, but you haven't brought all the numbers down, how many ever numbers are left gets to be zeros up top. So we had one number left to bring down, so we had to put a 0 up top.